Please pull it this way. Okay. The fact that women women have the opportunity to manage copious amounts of human beings in their homes, their husband's cousin, their brother of the husband, the sister of the cousin to the cousin in the African society, her uncle's children, and she's the one who eventually eats the scrap after giving everybody the food. It means that our moderator will be more efficient with time. She knows what she's doing. I know how Lagos State operates, and I'm going to ask her to remember to get everybody, before they speak, to introduce themselves, because I don't have names on the paper. And as an expert moderator myself, I know that being a moderator is a tough task, and so I'll give her a tip. If she wishes, she can open with 2 minutes perspective from everybody, and then she can dive in to get her 25 minutes. There you go. Please welcome everyone and introduce yourselves.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Well, I am the moderator. You are Mrs. Eugenia Abu. Thank you so much for a wonderful job so far. So my name is Abimbola Akanjo. I'm the Managing Director of LAMATA, that is Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority. And it is fantastic. I am really great to be here because I am a firm believer in railway transportation. And this topic is quite dear to my heart because I run the Public Transport Authority for a very busy state, for a state like Lagos, where we move over 22 million people, and we have started going in the railway direction. So what are we here to talk about? Repositioning the railway sector in developing countries and for the 21st century transportation needs. And the guy representing the DG of ICRC did a fantastic job. I couldn't stop writing. You had such pertinent points, and especially I liked the strategic roadmap that you painted for us. And I think that is where we will sort of benchmark this conversation, where we discuss what ICRC is painting for us as a strategic roadmap, which I must say I totally agree with. And I would like to ask each member of the panel to sort of have a reflection, because it's fantastic that we're here. We have the representation of NRC, and we have various states who sort of have to key into what NRC is doing. So to that end, I would like to start with the gentleman that joined us last, but like you said, last but not the least, to introduce himself and to give a perception of how you see, because when we think about the federal government of Nigeria, they have the overriding position of providing connectivity among states, but somehow the states have to key into it with their own plans and strategic visions for transportation. So I would please ask you to introduce yourself and give your perception on how you think your state, what your understanding of the policy position of NRC and Federal Ministry of Transport, and how you see your state keying into that. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Professor Titus Kekuka, the Commissioner of Work and Transport of Bauchi State. This conference, opportunities and challenges in railway development in Africa, for me, it's a very interesting opportunity, great opportunity to be here. Since yesterday, I've been keenly following the activities that are going on, the papers presented. For us in Bauchi State, is one of the states that railway passes from Port Harcourt, coming down to Plateau, to Bauchi, Maiduguri. We had enjoyed so much of railway facilities. But over the years, it has become a thing of the past. So this conference that is coming up, my governor is very, very interested, and he asked me to represent the state so that we can see how we can come back to that good old days that we used to have in Bauchi State. So for us, it's an opportunity that we want to grab as much as possible. And we'll be very much willing if we can have policies that will bring investors in Bauchi State so that we can key into what is happening in the federal government. So my state is highly interested in this. We want to see what opportunities we have in this railway transportation so that Bauchi State can key in onto it. So that's the just brief thing that I can say for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Commissioner. It is fantastic to note that you are interested in King. And I guess you are looking at your past, which is speaking to the fact that you enjoyed railway and you know what that brought to your state, and you are looking for that to continue regardless of what has happened in the past. We now understand that the federal government is very much keyed into the development of railway in Nigeria. I understand that the Ogun State Commissioner is here. If we may have, I don't know, Ogun State Commissioner, may I have a show of hand as to... Oh, you are? Okay, fantastic. The representative of Ogun State is here. Thank you so very much. So I am going to go to the lady to my left, and I will ask you to please introduce yourself and sort of speak to your state's vision, bearing in mind what we've all heard about the strategic roadmap for the nation with the development of railway and how you see your state keying into that. So thank you very much.
My name is Patricia Igwebuike, Commissioner for Transport, Anambra State. I'm also representing Mr. Governor of Anambra State, Professor C.C. Soludo, CFR. In our state, in Anambra State, can you hear me? Okay, in Anambra State, we are, for lack of a better description, say that we are green in the railway business because unlike Bauchi State, we've not had rail in the new Anambra. In the old Anambra State, the rail stopped at Enugu State, the current Enugu State. At the moment, we've just finished a feasibility study on getting a rail master plan for the state. We in Anambra also are keen into the national policy on multimodal transportation, seeing transportation as an enabler for economics. Yesterday was, I felt like it was Christmas. I learned so much, I networked so much. I'm still going to network again because, you know, we have an airport, we have a seaport, the Onitsha River Port, which is next to the Onitsha main market, which is the biggest market in West Africa. So the issue of rail, when we talk about rail now, will now connect us to the rest of the country, and with our seaport as well, and the airport as well. So we are very much in alignment with the federal government. We'll be knocking on more doors. I saw my the DG on ICRC. We'll be talking more with a lot of people. I think the gap that we have in my state and in most states in Nigeria is the capacity building. The first lecturer hinted on it. And also, as a lawyer, I'm a lawyer pushing on 40 years, the other thing, we will also need the people in the legal world becoming very acquainted with what goes on in transportation. There's going to be a lot of agreements. There's going to be a lot of things that the lawyer would have to draft. So we need capacity building And for anybody that is anybody in this hall, I'm going to be chasing you down to get more and to learn more so that we'll be very equipped when we start our rail, be it metro rail, and when the speed rail now comes to Anambra State. I think I can stop for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Commissioner. What is interesting is that she speaks of the fact that in their state they have just completed the feasibility study for a rail. And at that, I would like to commend that, because you must start from that perspective to understand how feasible the implementation of a rail system in your state will actually be. You mentioned about rail system being the enabler for economics, and honestly, I must say, and I guess that's a lawyer in you, you referred to having the need to prepare agreements, and it's one of the things that was mentioned by ICRC. We need to enact modern legal framework to ensure that whatever we're doing will stand the test of time from a sustainability perspective. So thank you very much for your insight in that. I will go to Braced and ask that you please introduce yourself and tell us what Bayelsa State sees and how you want to key into that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. My name is Ambassador Joe Keshi, representing the 6 South-South states called BRACE. BRACE is an acronym for the 6 states of the South-South. But let me make 2 reflections in order to make my point. The first reflection I want to make is that I grew up in the city of Ibadan. The roads built by the then Western region government lasted, in a number of cases, lasted over 10 to 15, 20 years. It was built, those roads were built by a very famous contractor, O'Neill & Sons, and some Israeli companies. The population was very small and very manageable. And so there were no cement companies with their long trucks, no long trailers that destroyed the road. I became a permanent secretary to the cabinet. It was always very interesting for me to receive memos from the Ministry of Works. What you see when you read the memos from the Ministry of Works is the simple fact that the road that was built 5 years ago did not last 2 rainy seasons. Gone. Today's population has grown to about 200 plus. You have so many trucks, not to talk, trucks, the Dangote trucks, the Buya trucks, and the, Lafayette, that are solely responsible for some of the states of the road. What that tells us, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, is the fact that for years to come, if we do not find a new mode of transportation for our people, we'll probably be in very deep crisis. And so the solution for me at the end of the day is that we need to begin to look very seriously on how to expand the rail infrastructure throughout this whole country. Because for one simple reason, most of the roads we build today, it doesn't make a difference who builds them. You have to travel around this country to appreciate the states, how bad some of the roads are. As soon as you are finishing one, the one you built 2 years ago, it's already bad. So maybe rail is the solution at the end of the day, as we have heard so many speakers, enunciate here today. But the problem now remains, how do we find the resources to build this rail line? I think in the case of the South-South, cooperation between the states and the federal government and investors. The states, in my view, must first show commitment. The federal government itself must show commitment in order to entice the investors, to come in here. Of all the papers I think I've listened to since yesterday, I find the one by the last presenter, you mentioned it, very, very interesting. Particularly the point he made, I think it's on the item 9, where he talked of the strategic roadmap for future engagement. For me, I think that we need to look at that. There has been of all the papers presented, I think we need to find a way to sit down and see how we can concretize this to improve the master plan. Because when you look at the master plan that has been in years for so many years, there's, for example, supposed to be a rail line from Lagos to Calabar, which, when you look at it, is probably the most lucrative route in this country today. Because just to build the road within either Port Harcourt or Bayelsa and so on might not be as lucrative as having that road that connects not just the southwest, not just the southeast, but also the south-south. And until we can do that, it will be difficult for any one state in that region to have its own, And I conclude by saying we need the cooperation of the federal government, the cooperation of the states, and of course the cooperation of the investors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Joe. You speak to a synergy that I like, which is that the states cannot do it on their own. We need the collaboration of the states and the federal government. And you make mention of historical ways in which we used to do things. We built roads and it lasted a long time, but now because we're moving a lot more goods, we're moving a lot more people, those roads are proving to be difficult to last the time that we are expecting them to. But the vision from your perspective is that we need to connect not just the south-south, but the south-south, the southeast, and the southwest. Then we begin to speak of what ICRC and the previous speaker had spoken to about connectivity of social communities, and I think that is a necessity for Nigeria, for the unity of our country, and for the development of the economy of this great nation. At this point, I will go to my brother, the one that heads the NRC. So everybody else here around this table, we are representing states, even me, myself. I am sitting here representing Lagos State. But we look to the federal government because regardless of what we do within our states, we need that connectivity, as Ambassador Joe has said, and that must come from that national position. So the MD of NLC is here, and we would like you to speak to how you see this strategic roadmap working and what you will bring to the table from the perspective of the center, and what you expect the states to be doing to key into whatever it is you're doing, because at the end of the day, no matter what you do, somehow the states have to find ways in which they can key into it. Thank you very much. If you'll introduce yourself, I know him very well, but allow him to introduce himself and then speak to the issue at hand. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Kayode Okpaifa, the Managing Director of Nigerian Railway Corporation. Let me first recognize the presence of Ambassador Jokeshi. I never know you are the one sitting. He has served this country meritoriously in different capacity. Now, let me also add to my introduction. I was at the inception of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Planning. I was special advisor, and I was also commissioner in Lagos on transportation. And by privilege, I was also privileged to be the Secretary of Transportation when the first sub-national rail system in Nigeria was finally delivered. That's the... Okay, I was the Secretary of Transportation when the Abuja Rail Mass Transit was delivered under President Muhammadu Buhari. So I have an experience of when the law was unitary and there were issues, and when the law was unitary and the same political party controlling the center and the states. And with those experiences, now I also serve on the board of Nigerian Railways for 4 years. Let me first start by saying, from the ICRC perspective, there are many, many options between the Ministry of Transportation, Federal Ministry, and the Nigerian Railway. We are already developing a roadmap for Nigeria. What the ICRC presented is more of a financial model to us. And they also need to interact with the rail managers for us to really understand. Every country in the world develops its own model. We have studied 4 different models, and they span Europe, Asia, and the Americas. The American model is different from the European model. The European model is different from the Asian model. So every country will develop its own model based on political, socio-economic, and some other factors, market factors. For us in Nigeria, we are the best model, which is now being condemned in those days. That was even under the colonial masters, where we built almost 3,500 kilometers, and 60 years after, we did nothing under the military, but we're building roads. So what is the model? I can say I presented something on my slide yesterday, and I took it off immediately. That is the likely integrated infrastructure plan for the next 5 years by the government. And that is why between the Ministry of Transport and the Nigerian Railway, we had come up with a railing with the states, so that states can take advantage of national lines on immediate hanging fruit. It is expensive. 2, we have also instituted the track access program, where states can also collect license and run on those lines as it pleases the state. Lagos State, that was traumatized for almost 10 years in building its own system, is the first to take advantage of that. The next thing I want to mention is the funding model. Yes, PPP is the way to go to look for better funding. There are also other funding, multilateral financing, developmental financing, and the rest. No single mode will best fund the railway system. However, if you go to the Americas, the American government system has rail at the level of the local governments, and then you have the level at the level of the state. Then you have collaboration like the BRACE, which will now have the regional developmental commissions, also running the likes of METRA. Then you see the state, federal government running the likes of Amtrak. Then you see the state and the local government running the likes of CTA, YTA, NTA, New York Transit Authority. So different countries. And I will appeal to our financial partners and agencies of government to let us sit down collectively and design the Nigerian model. We are planning, after this, most likely October or November, there's going to be a real summit of Nigerian states, Nigerian Railway Corporation, other agencies, and the Federal Ministry of Transport to see the best model for Nigeria. As of now, everywhere I go here on bundling, and I say, what do you mean? I have heard 2, today I have heard 3. We are still not sure. Every agency in Nigeria is going about postulating things behind the real operators and managers of Nigeria's rail. That's the Ministry of Transport and the Nigerian Railway Corporation. We are aware there are going to be new laws for NRC. There will be new laws for possibly another agency to regulate. But the best approach for us is we're going to sit down, we're going to bring position papers, and collectively we'll look at it. Nigerian rail assets should not be stripped off in the name of unbundling. We will regret it. We will regret it. Nigerian rail lines and infrastructure and assets must not be allowed to be stripped off. We will regret it. That is why the board of Nigerian Railway, as of today, has 21 states represented. All the Nigerian states are represented on the board because that asset is a national asset that doesn't belong to federal government of Nigeria alone. I will not speak much, but let me say this. I have been there with Lagos when the federal government was fighting us and they will not allow us. We went. It was Nigerian Railway Corporation that helped FCT to run the rail services until COVID came. The capacity to run rail in Nigeria exists. From the assets and human capital that the Nigerian Railway of present and of old has developed. Just like Prof mentioned. Our universities are also doing fine. There are also successful models, like in Lagos. Now just is following and others will follow. My appeal to state government is you have enough resources to tap from. Theoretical postulations is needed.